you say, I know that you rattled off some numbers in the form here, but do you remember them off the top of your head over how many people have been released into Boston and what the status is so far because of the drug lab crisis?
Sure. There's been 187 total releases that we're working with right now. Of those 187, we've arrested 15 that have been sent back into custody because they violated the drug laws. But overall, that's a success story considering the overall recidivism rate in the United States.
Are you surprised? It seems like a pretty low number.
I am surprised. I'm hopeful that some of the individuals are listening to the message that we're sending them in our meetings with them at the prison, availing themselves of services and staying out of the life of crime.
Now, the teams that you talked about to go in and meet with inmates at facilities, is that new in response to the drug lab crisis, or is that something you've sort of been working on and then stepped up because of the drug lab?
Well, it's both. We were putting the teams together. They had not gone in prior to the crisis. Once the crisis hit, we stepped up our efforts and made sure that before the first inmate was released, the teams were put in place, sent into the institutions. And I have to thank Lou Spencer for that. He's the commissioner of the Department of Corrections. He was a vital component to making that occur.
Mm-hmm. Can you explain what the teams do?
Sure. They deliver a two-pronged message. The first is you've served your time, you're getting out. We want you to go straight. We don't want you to go back into a life of crime. So we have some ways that we can help you. We have GED programs. We have jobs training programs. We have substance abuse counseling that if you have that problem. And we want you to avail yourself of these services and have a good life. On the other hand, if you are going to go back into a life of crime, we're watching very closely, and we're going to come down on you if you decide that you're going to go back and sell drugs or you're going to hurt people. We're going to be there standing by, and that message is pretty well received.
Now, it looks like Boston is probably the most affected community in the state because of this crisis at this point. How would you describe it?
Well, Boston is most effective. Of those 187 releases, about 125 of them have come back to Boston, in Dorchester and the South End, and some other neighborhoods. We drive a lot of crime statistics in Massachusetts simply because of the size of the city. We're the largest city in New England, so we are always sort of on the cutting edge of problems that may pop up. But we feel that we're up to the challenge here, and we're doing some common sense things to try to keep our focus on prevention of crime. And so working with this small group of people is really important.
And the crime rate in Boston has gone down over the past 6 years?
It has. We've had an average of 5 or 6% each year, so we're down 27, 28% in Part 1 crimes. So we're very happy about that work, but this kind of a threat could seriously affect that. So we're watching these numbers very closely this year.
And this kind of a threat, you mean the drug lab situation?
Right, a small group of offenders who are being put out on the street over and above the normal group of people that we deal with coming back. See, we're paying attention to everybody getting out of prison, but this is sort of a bulge in that system, and we have to have the resources available to deal with it.
Mm-hmm. And you say that there's about a 60% recidivism rate of those who leave incarceration and go back to the streets?
Nationally, over 3 years, there's about a 60% recidivism rate. That's the challenge that we have. That's a number that's set across the country. So we're working really hard to reduce those numbers day in and day out. The Dookhan issue just brings this sort of to the forefront.
Mm-hmm. And you've requested funds from the state, additional funds, is that right?
We have. The city's requested funds, the district attorney's office has requested funds, the Committee for Public Counsel has requested funds.
And the police too? Or is that just under the
as
city
part of the
offices?
city, as part of the city's
okay,
request,
so
yeah.
Specific, and that was $15 million, I believe, for
right.
reentry. Okay,
Yep.
And so you're hopeful that that will be enough funding to get you through all of this. And
we are.
Sufficient. And you think that will be enough, or do you think that?
Well, it'll meet the challenge that we have right now. Who's to say what's going to happen in the next year or so? We're looking at this as a 3-year issue that we want to keep these individuals on the straight and narrow for that 3-year period.
Because then after that, statistics show that then they're more
it starts
likely
to drop out, right? If they have a job and they get themselves established over the 3 years, we tend not to see them again, and that's what we want. We're not looking to arrest a lot of people. We're very interested in prevention.